If you love movies and movie discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am the Wiz, and I'm here today to review the 1963 horror mystery film, The Birds, starring Tippy Hedren, Rod Taylor, Jessica Tandy, Suzanne Pleshette, and Veronica Cartwright, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. I guess I gotta preface this with a warning on this review. If you've already looked at the review on the thumbnail right now, you probably already know how I feel about this movie, but I'll just repeat again. I am not a fan of horror. I am really not a fan of horror. How I'm still a fan of Alfred Hitchcock? Well, I think Alfred Hitchcock does it at a much deeper level than I would say most other horror films. But there are exceptions, of course. I've seen Midsommar. I've seen other horror films that I thought were really good. I don't review horror movies mainly because throughout my life, I have noticed that I don't like many of them, if any at all. And there are ones that people like gush over where I look at and go, what the hell? Keep that in mind when you're listening to this review. Spoiler alert, if there's a little bit of it right now. So let's get into the review of The Birds, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. But before that, let's get into the plot. The plot's basically this. Melanie Daniels, who is played by Tippy Hedren, meets Mitch Brenner, played by Rod Taylor, in a San Francisco pet store and decides to follow him home. Okay, so this is not exactly true. The synopsis that I'm reading from is sugarcoating it. She brings with her the gift of two lovebirds, and they strike up a romance. Once she's there, birds start attacking randomly. First Melanie, and then children, and then the entire town. Before I get to the negative, because it's going to be very obvious how I feel about this movie, I want to say the one positive thing that I actually like about this movie is that the looks of the sets and the town of Bodega Bay, which is what the movie is mostly set in, is actually very well done. I like the small town look and feel of the film. I like how everything seems really quaint and very, I guess, small town-like. You can really feel that small town charm that you get from watching this movie and from the setting that it is. Everyone knows everybody and stuff like that. So in that case, I think that element of the film is charming. Now the negative. First, so let me get to my first negative right away, and that is none of the characters are interesting, and the romance is laughably bad in this movie. I mean, laughably bad. First off, if you already listened to the plot synopsis I gave, the entire conceit that Melanie Daniels basically stalks Mitch to find out where he lives and then leaves him a present for him to notice. The way that the film does it is utterly ridiculous. First off, the synopsis said that she follows him. No. That's not what he did. So, in the movie, Melanie is the daughter of, I believe, a newspaper magnate. And what she does is she calls in a favor from her father's work to find out the address of which Mitch lives. And then she buys two birds and leaves a note with the bird. I guess some kind of cheeky note that she had with the birds. But since he's not home, and he's not going to be home for a few days, Mitch's neighbor tells her that he is going to Bodega Bay. So she drives to Bodega Bay. Why not? Okay. When she's there, she's asking random people, hey, where does this guy live? And these people tell him. And they tell him other information. What's the name of his mother? What's the name of his daughter? Look, let me preface this way. Maybe this is of a different time. Maybe. And if that is, fine. I will own that issue, okay? But I find it really hard to believe that a bunch of people that know each other would tell a complete stranger, no matter how gorgeous she's looking, Tippy Hedren is gorgeous, I will preface that, no matter how gorgeous she is, that they would tell this person, oh yeah, he lives over there with his mother X name and his sister Y name. Oh, what's the name of the 11-year-old sister? Oh, is it Lucy? Is it Lois? I don't know. Like, ask this person. Oh, hey person, what's the name of the 11-year-old? Oh, it's this one. Oh, really? Thank you very much. What? It's like, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Time out. No one really thought that maybe it's a little creepy that this grown-ass woman is asking the name of an 11-year-old girl. No one? Nobody? Sign of the times? Okay. And then the romance happens throughout the film as well, between Melanie and Mitch. starts off combative because for whatever reason. I completely forgot. I don't care. And then as it starts to blossom to a romance, it just doesn't fit because there doesn't seem to be any chemistry between Rod Taylor and Tippy Hedren. And I think a lot of it is because Tippy Hedren's performance is incredibly wooden. And it's incredibly awkward at points. But when the film starts to pick up with the birds attacking, her reactions to a lot of things are pretty damn awkward. And she's not the only one either. I think everybody in this film has this really odd, awkward, really off kind of way of performing in the movie. So I'm not going to just fault Hedren on that as well. You're probably saying to yourself, oh, Wiz, come on, man. Like, it's a horror movie. I mean, what matters is the killing. What matters is the violence. What matters is the scary stuff. What about the scary stuff? Okay, I'll get to you on that, okay? So, first off, the setup and the build-up to the attacks are not only long, they are dull, and they are incredibly uninteresting. So the film sets up that whenever a bird is present, something is going to happen. They set this up immediately in the movie. Once the first attack happens, the minute you hear a bird or you see a bird, something is going to happen. Now, my problem is with that setup is, first off, they don't happen enough. And secondly, when they do happen, they drag the setup way too long. And I mean way too long. There is one specific scene I want to point out, which is the school scene, when Tippy Hedren's character is sitting on a bench smoking. And then you see a bird on the upper left-hand side on a jungle gym. Right there, you know, okay, an attack's coming. So they linger and linger. They watch her smoke a cigarette. Birds start populating. She's still smoking. Birds keep populating. She's still smoking. Birds keep populating more. And then she turns around and goes, oh, wow, look at all those birds. I'm like, yeah, oh, yeah, really? Look at all those birds. That scene happens and whatever. And the setup is just, God. It is utterly ludicrous in that scene. I think my biggest problem with this film, well, I have several problems with this film. I think the biggest problem that I have is that the entire concept is taken way too seriously. Honestly, there are articles of birds attacking humans. Yes, I get that. And there is a specific story that Zero showed me about birds attacking humans because they ate bad algae that caused them to have an acid trip. Fascinating story, by the way. That was an interesting story. But even so, the entire concept of this movie is ludicrous. It is utterly ludicrous. And the fact that they tried to play it straight the entire time really was eye-rolling. And then when they would start getting into the more quote-unquote intense scenes where you're supposed to be scared, like, oh my God, the birds are going to smash into the windows and bite my neck off, ooh. And it's just utterly ridiculous. It's funny in a way. It only leads you to the point where the only entertainment that I had watching this film was basically saying, okay, how bad can this get? How funnily bad can this get? This is like watching The Room or Catwoman. It's weird because at the end, honestly, to me, and I might be wrong, and there might be people who are going to listen to this and go, my God, are you off? Oh my God, what is wrong with you? And I think the worst thing about this movie, the absolute worst thing, is that it's boring. It is so boring. It is so dull. And part of the reason why it's so dull is because the characters are dull. Melanie is herself an incredibly dull character. Mitch is not that interesting. The other characters that are in the movie, the teacher that she stays with, all of them are dull. Even characters that have a little personality, the drunk, the random bird woman that just populated out of nowhere from the town for some odd reason, just so happened to be there when the attacks were happening. They're boring too. It's all boring. And with the characters boring, and the action being ridiculous, and being played so straight, just made it such a slog to sit through. And here are the footnotes for the birds, and I have one. I normally hate remakes of classic movies. However, I would not mind a remake of this. It's like, I really would not. And here is how I would think I would remake it. You have one of two options. Take it deadly seriously, but come up with a reason for this to feel realistic. Say, like, maybe something along with climate change or along those lines that make the birds go crazy because there's a inert flight pattern or whatever. I don't know. I don't know anything about birds. Or just own the fact that it's ridiculous and just make it funny. Do one or the other, remake it, But the way that they did it in this movie just did not work for me in the slightest. Now, I know I'm the exception here, so take it for what you will. But man, ooh, man. So overall, once again, I absolutely hated The Birds. I thought this was a bad movie. I just could not believe what I was watching throughout this entire film. Now, again, I am not a horror film fan. I am not. And if it's mainly because it is a straight-up horror and I'm just not into horror, fine, I will own that. But the performances are wooden. I think the concept itself is ridiculous to be taken seriously, even though the film takes it too seriously. I think the worst part about this movie is that it is dull and it's boring. It was a slog to sit through. So overall, I absolutely hate The Birds. I'm going to enjoy the flaming in the comment section. I already know that. So, yeah, let me know how you feel. I think some of you will have no problem doing that. Now, if you want my full review on this movie, you can go to my website at IamTheWiz.com. You'll have my full written review right on the site, along with a link to the video that has this review that you've just listened to. All right, so for Tuesday, I'll be reviewing Harlan County, USA, directed by Barbara Koppel. Thursday, me and Zero will be reviewing Atari Game Over. And on Saturday, I'm going to be reviewing a documentary that I have wanted to watch for quite a while, and that is Gimme Shelter with the Rolling Stones. This is considered a classic music documentary, and it is something that I am looking forward to checking out. So, again, for Tuesday, I'll be reviewing Harlan County, USA. Thursday, Atari Game Over with Zero. And on Saturday, Gimme Shelter. I am The Wiz, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.